coming together to reduce Europe's dependence on Russian energy. Putin has issued Russia's energy resources to coerce and manipulate its neighbors. That's how he's used it. He's used the profits to drive his war machine. And the United States welcomed the European Union's powerful statement earlier this month, committing to rapidly reduce its dependence on Russian gas. Today, we've agreed on a joint game plan toward that goal, while accelerating our progress toward a secure, clean energy future. This initiative focuses on two core issues. One, helping Europe reduce its dependency on Russian gas as quickly as possible. And secondly, reducing Europe's demand for gas overall.
Mr. President, dear Joe, your presence here in Brussels this week at the NATO summit, at the G7 and at our European Council sends a very powerful message to the world. The transatlantic partnership stands stronger and more united than ever. And we are determined to stand up against Russia's brutal war. This war will be a strategic failure for Putin.
All right, well, for more now on the deal announced by the United States and the European Union, I'm joined in the studio by France 24's business editor, Cole Stangler. Good morning, Cole.
Aaron.
So what exactly are the details of this new plan?
Yeah, so as expected, the U.S. Has announced it's going to boost liquefied natural gas exports to Europe by an extra 15 billion cubic meters this year. That's part of an ultimate goal of reaching 50 billion in annual exports by 2030. So again, annual exports of 50 billion. And of course, coming with the EU scrambling to reduce its reliance on Russian gas, the EU has said that it's aiming to cut those imports by 2/3 by this year. The deal clearly a step in that direction. And I apologize in advance. It makes for a lot of figures here, but it is important to put these details in context, the deal in context. This deal that's announced is not going to be able to replace all that Russian gas overnight. As you can see there, so we're talking about 155 billion cubic meters. I'll get to that in a moment. But for one, most of the Russian gas comes to Europe through pipelines. The U.S. deal involves liquefied natural gas. So first you have to put that into a form that you're able to transport. Then you have to transport it and find ports that are able to store it. That's a significant challenge. And then the most important one, the one I was just mentioning, is just the sheer numbers here, 155 billion cubic meters coming from Russia. Last year, the U.S. has saying, even on the most optimistic scenario, so the goal is to have 50 billion cubic meters of imports. We're talking about essentially a third of that Russian gas. There's still a major gap there that needs to be filled, 100 billion or so. It's why the EU is looking for other sources of natural gas. It's why they're talking about countries like Qatar, like Egypt, which could also supply this LNG, liquefied natural gas. So yes, the deal with the U.S. is significant, but it's also important not to overstate it either.
So what are some of the other ways then, Cole, that the European Union can reduce its reliance on Russian energy?
Yes, I was mentioning LNG exports, so liquefied natural gas. There are also ways of boosting gas imports that come through pipelines, in particular from Norway and Azerbaijan. The European Commission says that could secure up to 10 billion cubic meters in piped natural gas, so a little bit more. There are also slightly less environmentally destructive ways of boosting that supply. You can plug pipeline leaks. You can reduce overall consumption. You can also install heat pumps. You can also focus, of course, more on renewables. That option makes a lot of sense given where we're at, obviously, in the climate crisis. But really one of the major concerns here, particularly in climate circles, is that the crisis could actually result in increased use of dirty fossil fuels. So just even setting aside the question of U.S. LNG, which is coming from fracking in the United States, which has significant environmental impacts, there's also talk on the table of having more coal energy imports, and that also comes with a significant cost. So it's a very complicated question, and even if you're reducing that Russian reliance, that reliance on Russia, you're not necessarily doing something that's particularly beneficial for the environment. The EU also has significant goals in that respect, so very complicated issue.
Well, both leaders did claim, Cole, that this is going to help both the U.S. and the EU transition towards cleaner energy.
We'll see
if they can fulfill those promises. Cole Stangler, thank you very much.